All rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. We'll do a quick roll call to determine quorum. Councilor Baumgartner, here. Evers, here. Ferguson,
Here.
I'm here. Howard, here. We are all here. So you have a quorum, and we'll call the meeting to order here. Okay, so first order of business here is a public forum. This is a time that we set aside for the public to address council about any concerns or needs that they notice in the community. I ask if you come here to present at the public forum, that you please state your name for the record, and your speaking time will be limited to 3 minutes. And at that point, if we need to, look further into the situation, we can direct staff or council to follow up. So if you're here for the public forum, please come forward. All right, not seeing anybody, we'll shut down the public forum portion of the meeting. And we'll open up the regular meeting again here. First order of business for the regular meeting is setting of the agenda. You'll see a number of items under the consent agenda. If any of those need to be brought out for discussion, time to request that is now. Otherwise, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion's been made by Baumgartner and seconded by Evers to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Okay.
All opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved as written, so we'll move down to the consent agenda. It contains the meeting minutes from February 18, a step movement for staff member. Resolution 19 is a gambling exempt permit for the Pages Foundation. Item D is a change order for concrete contracts. Item E is an airport management agreement, and item F is our February disbursements. I'll call for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Ferguson, seconded by Baumgartner to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Consent agenda carries as written. Okay, moving down to discussion items. We have had on the agenda here some fence improvement items for Dirks Park, and Elizabeth will walk us through some details.
Yeah, so we've been talking at the park board. A priority of the park board is always maintaining what we have before we add new. And there was some fence improvements that had been recommended to the park board for both the Dirks Park, the east and west softball fields, as well as a fourth priority, the ball field at Henton Park. It was initially discussed that we were gonna kind of take these projects 1 year at a time. However, looking at the end of the 2024 balance of the park budget and seeing what was added to the budget at the beginning of 2025, we decided that the best time to do it would be now to get the most use out of those fields at the Dirks Ballpark East and West softball fields. Public Works has worked with both Century Fence, who has been a long time city contractor to do fence work, as well as Fence-All to receive 2 different quotes. Century Fence came in, they submitted a new quote for $30,250 and Fence-All submitted a quote for $30,330. Craig, our Public Works Superintendent, feels the most confidence with CenturyLink in tackling this project for those 3 different ballpark improvements to the fences. And that is also the lower quote.
And nothing at Henton is being improved?
Not at this moment. There's been discussions with 212 baseball about whether or not they'd like to see and raise money for a 4th ballpark, at which case then the soccer fields would be moving over to Henton. So we don't want to right now invest a ton of money in a ballpark that we're still working with private organizations to see what might actually become of it.
Right.
Henton Ballpark is also probably in a little bit better shape than these other ones that get used on a more regular basis with our teams throughout the city.
You answered the question I was gonna ask.
Oh, okay.
Twice.
Okay, so then my question to follow up on that is the conversation that's being had with 212, is this an aggressive conversation on both sides? Cause I don't want this to stall. I don't want this conversation to stall because I've had many people that are involved in that organization that have felt like in the past, conversations have stalled on the city side until they get right to the 11th hour and then they want a whole bunch of scrambling done. And it's not fair to them to try to, they've got volunteers that are able to do some of the in-kind work by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
And I would rather see a project started where we could work a little bit at a time to get something done than wait until the 11th hour and having everybody jump through hoops trying to get something.
Are you talking about the fourth field and specifically?
Well, with just working with 212, I know that there's been multiple different people from that organization that have talked to me that want to try and bring tournaments here and whatnot like that, but fences have been an issue, fields have been an issue. I just wasn't sure because of the hurdle that they've said they've had in the past is that conversations have stalled on the city side.
Gotcha.
That's what I want to try to get ahead of and make sure that we're not.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when it comes to the fourth field conversations, I'll say that those are more casual conversations because that does rely a bunch on their private fundraising efforts. So a little bit less to do with the city side. As it comes to maintenance and items, I know that 212 Baseball has come in front of the Park Board Commission for a number of different ideas such as batting cages. And I am trying to schedule a meeting this spring, so probably this month of March, with the users of Dirks Park. So be that 212 Baseball, Bold Softball, Bold Baseball, as well as I know Bold Junior High Football is looking to utilize soccer fields and 212 soccer to get everybody on the same page, because I'm a little bit unaware of how that process of scheduling those fields really happens. It hasn't been an issue, so I'm not necessarily looking at trying to insert myself where I'm not needed, but I want to be more well-rounded about that issue, see what the field needs are, and see what the city can contribute and where they need to come in as different organizations to help maintain those city assets. So that's on my March monthly list to try and get that started before this sports seasons really kick underway.
I do know previously I was involved more intensively with the park department years back, and this has been a concept probably for, at least the last 4 years that we've heard from, and I know that at least the city and the park department has always spoke of good support for this concept of adding that fourth field there. And I think the stall out may have come from the funding portion of where this facility comes from.
Okay.
So if I'm not sure who representing the organization you're talking with, I don't know if they're saying that the stall out is on the funding side from the city but there has been, we've embraced their concept of moving the soccer fields to Henton Park and moving that Henton Park field to make a fourplex out there. We've embraced that. We've talked of great support about that. What we haven't supported was a full funding of it on the city side of things. So perhaps that's what they're getting at when they're saying that conversations have stalled out, but I guess I can't speak for them.
And I don't know, that was the concern that it was expressed to me, is that there just has been some stalls. So
Sure.
Being the fact that it's at the beginning of the season and we've got someone with a little more life and drive to push these issues. I'd just like to see what we can do.
Sure.
And let's work with that unit, that 212 unit as a whole, and get all of their concerns laid out. And then if we have all of their concerns and they have all of our concerns, and we are at least coming to the table, each knowing what we expect of the other, if something stalls, then there's no finger pointing saying the city stalled on this.
Sure.
Well,
We
there
can
is
say,
an-
no, actually, we've worked with you, we've tried to help you, and we're to this point, now it's time for you to step up a little bit.
And you can see
Let's
that
do
if
this
you go
together.
back and see
Every
what
conversation
we've
with
had
them, does-
discussions with them.
the end of the conversation has always been, 212 baseball, you need to raise these funds in order for any of this to happen. and then we don't hear a word. That's been the gist of everything since I've been part of this.
Okay.
And they have, I just talked to somebody from 212 baseball and they have some new ideas they wanna bring to the table, which is great.
Yep.
They're gonna prepare some stuff to bring back to us, which, you know, I think is wonderful that they keep coming back with their ideas. And I think the city has always been very supportive and listening and said yes, most of the way.
I do know one additional improvement that at least the Parks Board would like to see at the ballpark is a small climbing structure at some point, just to give the younger siblings something to do that maybe is not crawling on soccer nets. While
That
they're
is currently the climbing
while
structure
their
that
older
is at the
siblings are
park,
playing
yeah.
baseball, so that is also on the Parks Board priority list as well, so.
Yeah, we definitely wanna add momentum to that concept of getting a fourplex out to the Dirks Field. I think it's a great idea. I think it could get some traffic going on some otherwise quiet weekends here in town, so let's go.
Do we have, did the quotes, I know the one quote from Fence Hall said June. How about Century, they say when they can, cause June's probably like the worst possible time they could do fencing,
Yeah,
since it's the middle of baseball season.
let me pull up the Century fence quote. That's a good question.
Got the summary quote here in front of me and it doesn't.
I don't have a timeline. I'll follow up with Craig for that. So,
Yes, you know, it is what it is, you know, they have their schedules too, and
Yeah.
I'm sure they're busy, but. To me, a June timeframe probably would be better off, if they can't do it before the season starts, they're probably better off waiting till after, so like late July, August.
I'll mention that with Craig. I just text him. We'll see if he responds, but I don't have a date for that, unfortunately.
Anyone wanna take action?
Do we need to vote on this?
Yes, if you can approve the Century fence quote.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the Century fence quote, which is a low bid.
Second.
Motion's been made by Baumgartner, seconded by Howard to approve the fencing quote from Century Fence. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Right.
I,
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move to the second discussion item, Armory policy and fee discussion.
Yeah, so this is just to start the ball rolling. So we are still in very positive discussions with our legal team and the legal team responsible for transferring ownership of both the downtown Armory and the machine vehicle storage building to the city. And so I wanted us to start as a council looking at what policies and procedures we'd like for rental. I know Mayor Hawkinson has been reached out to several times by different groups asking about interest, when it would become available. I don't have a date specifically on when it would become available, but making sure that we can hit the ground running. That's why I had sent around kind of some proposed policies as well as just a jumping off part for fee discussions. The Armory policies that I put together is really a conglomeration of looking at what our neighbors do for their community centers. So I've looked at Renville, I've looked at Fairfax, Bird Island, all of the communities in the city, and I'm scrolling down for it, sorry guys. But, so I wanted to get your guys' opinion on that, and then the fine and fee schedule is once again, just a jumping off point for rental rates. You can do rental rates in a variety of different ways for events coming from the event world. You can do it based on the size of an event, a small event, a large event. You can do it based on the group hosting the event, nonprofit versus for-profit, private. You can also do it for spaces, right? So there are 2 classroom spaces up top. If you wanted to do it by space, then it's kind of more of an a la carte option. I want the gymnasium for this amount of money. I want the kitchen for this amount of money. I want an upstairs room to get ready or private breakout space for this amount of money. So just kind of looking for a direction of where you guys wanted to go.
Well, I was gonna ask if you had compared to, you know, our neighbors, sounds like you have.
Yes.
And the only other consideration that I would like to get a handle on, and perhaps it's too soon, is, you know, what is the average cost for utilities, the average
Sure.
cost for other incidentals that are at the property, and then to try to use what those costs would be to help guide what we should charge. I know it's difficult to know how many people might come in and how
Yeah.
often you're gonna rent it, but
So I don't have the annual cost of gas because that's private, but I do have your annual cost for utilities. Now granted, this city in paying utilities would be wholesale rates. So you're not having as much, but your monthly average for utilities is anywhere between, you know, $800, and then your highest would probably be around $1,700, that's commercial rates. So your monthly average is around $1,200 for utilities. I don't know what that is in wholesale rates though, but if you think about what we have to pay for gas, that's probably a ballpark. So,
And it's a service, we have to remember it's a service, not a business, we're not for profit, we're for service, so.
and the other thing to consider is this will be a trial year. If we post this on our fine and fee schedule, we review it every single year.
Yep.
And we can look at metrics and things like that to see, okay, this is how many people are using it,
How
do
we
we
gonna make
increase
that?
it a little bit, how are we doing it, so.
I mean, I would just like to break even on it, so our service doesn't
Cover our
have a cost because we don't have extra money in which to provide the service.
Do we have adequate staff if, you know, we're to start blowing up to manage?
So I think that there's a couple of different things to consider for staff. So right now, what the majority of our neighbors do is you sign out a key, you return the key. We could look at doing that. We could look at looking at our Verkada system if we want to do a key fob instead of a key. And then cleaning would be the other thing to consider. In which case I could start a conversation with Axe Cleaning Service to see what that might look like if they come in once a week to tidy up the space. Also making groups responsible after events for their own cleanup. Security deposits are mentioned in there, getting insurance attached to your homeowner's insurance is mentioned in the policies as well. So I mean, if this thing really takes off, we'll definitely have to examine what type of staff commitment it's for. Right now we do park rentals, right? That's not a huge lift, but it's gonna be, again, seeing what this
I'm
looks
just trying to
like.
think, like, I remember when I worked there was a lot of, during this winter, especially walkers, and you have to have somebody there.
Yeah, and what Community Ed has done for those types of programs is, you know, they have adult basketball and adult pickleball. And often they'll charge a monthly fee for that, but then the person who commits to being there won't have to pay the monthly fee. So you'll say, Blanca's gonna host 6 AM walk-in, and therefore she doesn't have to pay the fee, but she's responsible for opening it up and locking it up.
Okay.
So that's how Community Ed
Yeah.
has been successful with running their programs out of the Bird Island Gym.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I looked at, any conversation about the policies and rules?
I really like the policy about it being your responsibility, even if the guest is unwelcomed, if you don't call the police. Because that really does, you know, looking into the future, whatever may be going on, I think that really covers the city in the aspect is either one's gonna get probably criminal charges and restitution to fix whatever issue was made, or the other one didn't call the police, so therefore they're not responsible for the damages.
Any other conversation about the policies?
That's a good start.
And this will still, I mean, I have to talk to our legal about this. And I'm gonna fully flush it out to get, you know, any additional staff comments that they might have on here. You know, staff brought up, you know, we have no smoking, we also probably wanna put no vaping. Because not everyone thinks that those are the same thing. And so there are a couple of refining points, but I just wanted to get your all input to see if I'm on the right track or if you'd like to see any glaring changes. Obviously, before this is approved, it'll come back to you in full force.
I thought I was on the right track.
And security for events.
Recommended, not optional, but optional. So again, it's just the rental party is responsible for the behavior.
Cause I think in Renville, it's if you have the bar available, you are required to have at least one security guard.
I thought I
It
got
might
from,
have changed.
I think I got from
Warren used to have
Renville's that it was optional.
That's the sheriff's posse.
Yeah,
Little guy.
and you just hired one of the officers.
It's just
to come.
Santa Claus is what we call them.
Yeah.
He just sat there all day.
I can confirm about that. I do have in here that if they wanted to do liquor, they would be working exclusively with our municipal liquor store. If they wanted that service there, I know that we're trying to get that revenue up a little bit, so I figured that was a good partnership to program.
And do you think that the employees will take to having
I
to be
think so.
available? for
I
the bar?
mentioned it to Nanette and she seemed very open to it. She understood that there were other community centers who did it. So I'll confirm with her that she thinks that she can staff that.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool, then I'll continue finalizing those for your approval. How do we feel about rates? Did you guys wanna see it based on event? Did you wanna see it based on space? Any thoughts or direction?
Based on costs is what I.
That's fair. I'm looking from an event perspective, sometimes it's easier to say, hey, I want room A, B, and C, and here's your total.
And then,
Well, it's probably not gonna cost $200 in light. If that's is that what you're what kind of costs are you talking about?
well, okay,
Electricity, heat?
yeah, utilities, you basically the cost that you're gonna have for having the building, which utilities, I don't know if we have to pay insurance on the building.
Yeah, I can check into that cost. We
So,
haven't started the
I
discussion.
would like to know
Sure,
what is our average total monthly cost to have this building,
Monthly or daily, because you'd be charging daily.
well, monthly. And then we figure out how many events we think we're going to have. And then see where, if the rates are at all appropriate, if we think that we're gonna be able to cover our costs that we're picking up for having this.
It'll be good to know that information anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the rate schedule looks like a good start. There's nothing glaringly
Right.
inappropriate on here.
That's what I thought, I mean, if you're
Yeah.
basing this on our neighbors, okay, that's a perfect place to start, I don't have any argument that, it's just. If it's wildly out of whack with what it costs us to have that building, then I think we need to look at
oh, yeah,
something different.
I can look at I can get an estimate of an average total monthly cost.
Hopefully we'll have 6 months of data to put together for the next time we do our annual resolution and
Mhm.
decide whether or not it needs to be adjusted up or down or whatever the case is.
Cool.
Have we had any conversation with, was it Kicks?
Just for kicks, Michelle was one of the ones who had reached out to John. Yep. I have an estimate, I have a guesstimate in my discussions with the Armory on how much the Armory remembered that they were paying for their lease. So that'll be something to discuss as well, what these groups who utilize it for several months, what that agreement looks like, yep.
From those conversations, it looks like this fee schedule will probably be right in line with what they're accustomed to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, knowing that we had somebody that was using the facility prior to us getting our hands on it, if,
Mhm.
you know, obviously if we can continue that relationship.
Absolutely.
That benefits everybody.
And we've had a couple of people reach out who would like to start a relationship with the city and utilizing the Armory, so we're starting to work on that as well.
So just to get it out there, we'll just communicate to the community that it's a desire of the council to maintain existing relationships, you know, at the same level at least that we have, so.
And look for new ones.
And look for new
Yes,
ones,
absolutely.
and as soon as I have a better concrete deadline on when this transfer occurs, we will share that very widely.
Any other conversation about the Armory?
Yes, while we are discussing this, and I wanna make sure that anybody that's online is seeing this and the whole wide world is available for this information. I had a local member of the community come to me today that happened to notice the dumpster behind the building.
Mhm.
Of course, because we had expressed interest in the building and that was written up in the paper. The concern was that we were the ones that were cleaning out the building already. The there is an extreme amount of waste in the dumpster that has been thrown away that this particular individual felt could have and should have been taken care of in a different manner, and he was very disappointed and angry in the fact that the city might have been throwing that stuff away. So I was able to make him aware of the fact that the city does not own that building yet.
We
We
do
are not cleaning that building out, and that is strictly still on the Armory side of life. So it was, I was able to pull him off the ledge a little bit and address his direction of aggression in another direction versus coming
At
here,
George.
but. No, it wasn't
State.
George.
You point at George.
Well,
Yeah, no, George.
I blame George on it.
From what I've seen in there, I wasn't very happy. 'Cause
Yeah.
There was a lot of memories in there.
Well, not only the memories, but there was usable stuff
Was there
that
usable
this,
stuff too?
this
Oh, that doesn't surprise me
individual.
one bit.
Yeah, you know, they were, and people are doing some good dumpster diving over there. They're
Right,
winning.
and that's always an option, go
Yeah.
take it out then.
Yeah, they're
Bring-
winning,
You know,
because but there were some things in there that he felt should have been sent to Axe at a minimum, or, you know, whatnot like that.
but you,
So he was-
we don't know what's going on with them, and if
And-
it's just one person doing it, or if they have a whole
Well,
team,
Guess
so
that's a
let's
couple
not
of
judge
soldiers
either.
making them drill.
Yeah, well,
That's all it
that's,
is.
that's what it was, there was 8 or 10 of them
Yeah.
there last week, so.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just be aware that the community is aware now that we're doing this, and eyes are going to start being on us when it comes to that building a little bit more than they have been in the past, so be prepared.
Yeah, I mean, the Armory has taken their sign down out in front, but absolutely, the keys haven't been turned over, so that is not the city. As you are correct in saying, cleaning out that building, when we were able to walk through with them and indicated things that we thought we might be able to use or we might not. We made it very clear that anything that they specifically didn't want, they didn't have to throw out. We would be happy to work with them to find homes. And they have taken the direction with it as is their prerogative.
How it works is their superiors tell them, hey, clean all this crap out,
Yeah.
and then they do it. They're not gonna
That's
give them
just-
details.
No.
Yeah.
We need this space cleaned out because we're selling the building, and
Yeah.
a bunch of
Bulldozer
23s and E4s, 20-year-old kids are coming in and going, yes, sir, we're gonna throw it all in that dumpster, just like you said.
It's done as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other conversation about the Armory? Okay, we'll move down to some reports. Are there any reports from staff? Obviously, there's.
I think Pam has a report.
Oh, hi Pam.
Hi. I don't know that I do have a report, other than, did you want me to give an update on Chrysler?
Yes, that was your
okay.
report.
Okay. All
Sorry,
right.
Pam.
So we have a signed agreement, and earnest money paid, so that's good news for that purchase agreement. Over the weekend, I got a draft of the termination of the existing lease, and then a proposed lease for us as tenants of the space that we currently occupy. And I was able to go through that today with and provide comments and questions, and sent that to Elizabeth for her review. And then we can get that finalized as far as in draft form with the other side after those questions that I had are answered by Elizabeth to the extent that they can be. And then you would likely see a more finalized document at the next meeting. So the termination of the existing lease was not a big deal. There really weren't changes on that other than adding a signature line, but it was the proposed lease for us as tenants, which again was in pretty good shape. I just had a few questions about some of the terms, if the city would be okay with it. So that's where we're at with respect to that. So it looks good for having that closing happen by that mid-April timeline.
That'll be nice to be done.
Thank you, Pam.
The pool's not open yet.
Not over yet. The other two, oh yeah, what else do you want to say about?
They're looking for, they have to move some stuff out, Cause they're starting in that area, so they gotta move stuff out of their storage and currently looking for somewhere to put that and that's
And
it.
I'm working with Tracy, we've been working on clearing out the old water treatment plant where a lot of City Hall had stored their stuff to see if that might be a good storage space available to them.
That's owned by Nestor Park.
Yes. The other two things I wanted to report on is Winter Party in the Park was a big success, on February 22nd, Saturday. We had, it's hard to guesstimate attendees in a large park, so I'm putting the estimate like 50 to 75. We had good feedback, people enjoyed the ice skating prior to it turning into a pool by the end of the event, because it was really nice weather. People also really enjoyed the snow painting, the hot chocolate, the s'mores. John and I got to meet a couple of new community members who neither of us had ever met before at community events, so that was really nice. And then on Thursday, I will be in the Twin Cities with the League of Minnesota Cities Advocacy Day on the Hill. So connecting with other cities and talking about different priorities. We always go there. Currently, we're talking about reverse osmosis and getting funding through the Public Facilities Authority and through the PSIG grant. So we really need them to pass a bonding bill for that type of funding revenue as well. So
See if they'll just get rid of that.
get rid of that requirement altogether. Okay. I don't know about that, but I can mention it as a possibility.
Or if they can't request it, yeah, if they, and if they can't get rid of it, at least they can fund it. Let's just.
Correct, we would, everybody, cities across the state are all advocating, since last year they did not pass a bonding bill. We would all really like to see them pass a bonding bill. So, I was at the Twin Cities for the Coalition Greater Minnesota Cities Advocacy Day in February. I got to chat with both Senator Lang and Congressman Van Binsbergen about Olivia and our priorities. Invited Van Binsbergen to come here in May, once he's out of session, to tour the building. So we have good people there advocating for our priorities, which is great.
Thank you. Any other reports from staff? Any other reports from council?
I can just report that I had the opportunity to go through my new councilman.
Elected
course,
Leaders
elected
Institute?
leader. Met some great people from across the state, met some phenomenal people with the League of Minnesota Cities. And I can say proudly that Olivia is on the radar for them, with the thought that many good things are starting to happen out here. Everybody that I spoke with at the League of Minnesota Cities spoke very highly of our city administrator. So that was good to hear. She's doing well there. She's made obviously some good connections with different members in the League of Minnesota Cities, and it's nice to hear a positive feedback from an organization such as that one versus, oh, you're from Olivia. It was nice to have some good conversation and good banter when I identified myself, and oh yeah, you've got Elizabeth out there. Yes, we do.
We talked to a lot of people here in Olivia.
Yes, so that was, the seminar was very educational. It opened my eyes to a few things, beneficially and sadly, I will admit, but yeah, it was a good time.
Thank you, Todd. Couple other things went on here, last week, we had a meeting with the group that are putting together the comprehensive plan for Renville County, and that's, I don't know, probably about 80% completion right now. Just making sure we get some good, there's a lot of township and rural advocacy on that board, so we were able to, I and Shane Woolman were able to get a little bit more focus on the cities of Renville County on there. We're gonna be making sure that our amenities in the city, you know, our parks, our pools, all that kind of thing are listed as county assets. You know, when you take a look at important documents that people may reference when they want to plant their home or their business, perhaps a comprehensive plan is something that they would refer to. So we felt it important to advocate for the cities in the county. And then also today, we had a meeting with the Community Ed Advisory Board. Just kind of a heads up for the community, the summer rec model that we're all used to over the last decades is returning back to the custodianship of community ed, with the departure of YMCA. So we're trying to get the coordination and with the construction going on at the school, there's some extra creative problem solving involved with that, but stay tuned and keep your ears open for the programs that'll be coming available from community ed for summer rec. Any other reports from the council? We do have a piece of
A
communication.
notice and communication, we will begin advertising for our seasonal help for our public works department. So if you know of anybody who might be a good fit for our public works seasonal help team, this is primarily over the spring and summer, mowing, maintenance of parks, things like that, please direct them our way.
All right, with no other business on the agenda here, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made by Ferguson, seconded by Evers to adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.